Okay, listeners, we're back and ready for another deep dive. You guys sent in some super interesting material about this restaurant.
Restaurant.
Yeah, a restaurant called Kasteel Erenstein.
Hmm.
And get this, it's in a castle.
A real, actual castle.
An actual castle. You know, I gotta admit, the idea of like dining in a castle, that's pretty cool. It sounds super romantic, like something straight out of a fairy tale.
Right. It definitely sets a high bar.
Yeah. So let's see if this place can really live up to all the hype.
Yeah.
So, first things first. This restaurant, Kasteel Erenstein, is part of a hotel, right?
Exactly. And it's located in, let me check my notes. Yes, an 18th century castle.
Oh, wow. 18th century.
Yeah. And it's in the Limburg region of the Netherlands.
In Limburg. Okay. So, castles in the Netherlands. I mean, are those like a big thing there?
You know, they actually are. Castles in that region, they're not just like big, impressive buildings. They have a ton of history.
Oh, I bet. So what's the story with this specific castle then?
So Kasteel Erenstein, it didn't start as a castle. It was originally a farmstead.
Huh, a farmstead. Yeah.
Yeah. Then over time, it turned into this fortified house and eventually became the grand castle that we see today.
Wow, that's pretty cool. So it's like witnessed all these changes over the centuries?
Exactly. And that actually reflects a bigger trend in the region. You see, a lot of castles started out as purely functional,
Oh.
but then they became these symbols of power and status.
Right, right. And then eventually I'm guessing they transformed into these like destinations, like places you'd go for, I don't know, a special occasion.
Yeah, like you see with Kasteel Erenstein now.
That's like stepping back in time.
Yeah.
Especially when you look at these excerpts we got. They really play up the whole like enchanting ambiance.
Mm-hmm.
They talk about idyllic gardens, glowing fireplaces. There's even a mention of like a gentle melody floating through the air.
It sounds pretty idyllic.
Yeah, but I mean, are they like exaggerating? Is this place really that magical?
I don't think they're exaggerating necessarily. I think they're being very intentional about the experience they're creating.
Okay, what do you mean?
Well, they're not just, serving you dinner. They're crafting a whole sensory experience.
Oh, I see.
Like, think about it. They mention the castle gardens, the elegant decor, even the music. They're engaging all your senses.
To create like a specific mood.
Exactly.
So it's like they're really playing up the whole like sophisticated luxury vibe.
I think that's a good way to put it.
Okay, but let's be real. A fancy atmosphere can only get you so far.
Yeah.
What about the food? Like, what kind of stuff do they actually serve at this castle restaurant?
Well, from the looks of the excerpts, they've got a pretty diverse menu. They've got like classic dishes you'd find in a lot of fine dining places like Tornadoes.
Right.
But then they also highlight some local specialties. There's one called Limburg Zervlies.
Limburg's what?
Zervlies. It's a traditional Dutch stew that's very popular in the Limburg region.
Oh, okay. Tell me more about that.
So it's like slow-cooked beef. It's marinated in vinegar and spices.
Interesting.
It's supposed to be super tender and flavorful. It's definitely a very regional dish.
I'm always down to try local specialties. But I gotta say, the dish that really caught my eye was this sea bass one. Sea bass with miso and roasted sweet potato. Doesn't that just sound incredible?
That sounds amazing, yeah.
I mean, it's like they took all these different flavors and just like threw them together, but in a good way,
Right, like a very deliberate way.
Yeah. It totally screams experiential dining to me.
And I think that's exactly the kind of trend that Kasteel Erenstein is tapping into.
What do you mean?
Well, it's not just about the food anymore, right? It's about the whole experience, the story behind the dish, how it's presented, the way the different flavors play off each other. And that sea-based, it just seems to embody that idea.
It's like they're not just serving dinner. They're selling you this whole, like, escape and adventure for your taste buds kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
They actually use the phrase storybook experience in one of the excerpts. But, do you think they're relying too much on the castle itself? Like, is the food and everything else going to live up to that fairy tale promise?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It is.
The castle definitely provides a wow factor, but the real test is in the execution. Can the food, the service, the atmosphere, can all of that really live up to the hype?
That's a high bar to set.
It is a high bar.
Well, they definitely seem confident. They keep telling people to check out their website.
Which is
www.restaurantkastelerenstein.nl.
Okay, I'll have to remember that one.
Yeah, write that down. They say you can find all sorts of tempting details there. Special offers, seasonal delights, you name it. I'm almost tempted to book a trip just to see it for myself.
I can understand that.
It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? Can a meal be, like, elevated by the setting? Does dining in a castle really enhance the enjoyment of the food?
That's such a great question. I think it depends a lot on the person.
What do you mean?
Well, for some people, a meal is a meal. It doesn't matter where you eat it.
Right.
But for others, the setting, the ambiance, the history of a place, all of that can really add to the experience. It becomes more than just food.
So it's like a whole package.
Exactly.
I guess the only way to know for sure is to try it out yourself. So listeners, if you could visit restaurant Kasteel Erenstein, what would you order? And with the fact that it's in a castle, influence your choice at all?
Yeah.
Let us know. That's all the time we have for this deep dive. See you next time.